And here we are again with you here on College Sports Insiders. We are very grateful to hear you and yours wherever you are. Hopefully, you've had a great holiday the last couple of days meeting with family and friends around the country. This is College Sports Insiders, guys. We're going to be talking about the Big 12 Media Days and how the hell does Brett Yormark fix this situation. It's going to be rough, I think, are we all together or are we not? We're going to find out very shortly here. Let's talk about it on today's show. All right, and here we are, guys, back in with College Sports Insiders, talking a little bit of Big 12 Media Days today. So to just kind of give you the prognosis, I guess, whatever you want to call it, for what this episode is going to be about, we're going to be talking about all the teams around the Big 12, kind of breaking them down a little bit. We did some on my show earlier, Locked on West Virginia. But on this one, we don't have the time. We really don't have to worry about it as much. So we'll go ahead and do that.
We do what we want here.
Absolutely. And so we'll do that. We'll go over all the teams as well as, like, what are the storylines behind each team, that kind of thing. But I want to start with Brett Yormark, Jackson, because, when Brett Yormark walks to that platform, and his Big 12 Media Days kicks off, I don't think people are going to be wondering about TV contracts as much. I don't think people are going to be looking about the college football playoff even.
No.
I'm going to be looking at his face and how tense and how taut it is, because I want to know if this conference is actually united. Are we united? Is everybody simply playing nice because they have no other option? Think about this. A couple of weeks ago, this conference was at war with itself inside because of the Brendan Sorsby situation. Put Texas Tech at one side and put the other 15 at the other. And everybody else, was on the other side. Really, it was Texas Tech against the world in a lot of ways. Yormark called it a challenging week. He ended the statement with the Big 12 looks forward to moving ahead to 16 strong. Okay, but are they? Rumors of Utah wanting into the Big Ten. You've got, which they've always wanted out. Texas Tech, clearly on their own in some way, shape, or form as well. But are they? Because one thing that makes this fascinating to me, Jackson, college athletics is changing by the hour and Congress is involved. Here's where I want to move towards here. Now that federal legislation is being debated, revenue sharing is here. The college football playoff is evolving. The NCAA is losing its power. And whether schools like it or not, they're all going to get shoved into the same boat. They're going to try to make this a situation to where conference media rights can't be pulled anymore. And my question to Brett Yormark is, we okay? Like, is the Big 12 truly united? Because if we're not, is everybody realizing, like, they better be sticking together, because the future of college athletics is going to change whether we like it or not. Two very different things. One is unity, the other is survival, right? If I'm Brett Yormark, that's the questions I expect in Frisco.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And, they want to see what his position is on the upcoming act that's coming up in August 1st about the Protect College Sports Act that's going to be official on August 1st. And they do want to see whether he's okay with a 16-team playoff or a 24-team playoff. Like, that's what some of the questions will be about. Like that, and like you said, they want to see whether, if everybody's just playing nice for now because, there's no other options at the moment, or are they just really and truly united? And it's, we've been mad at one another, but we're putting that aside because we're standing up against the forces of the other conferences.
Correct. And, I feel like the Big Ten and the SEC have to be licking their chops a little bit now, or maybe not licking their chops, but they feel forced into it because, okay, legislators getting involved, that's great. But if you're going to tell us we can't realign any further or pull conference media rights any further, doesn't that kind of push things ahead of schedule instead of 2030 or 2031 or whatever? Doesn't that make Florida State, Miami, and you can go down the list from there in the ACC, and maybe Kansas and North Carolina in the ACC, just different teams that you've seen at the top of people's lists for a while. Could those things be kind of opened back up before legislation gets involved? That's what I want to know, because it's kind of a frightening subject, really. I mean,
Yeah.
especially if you're a fan of a team that's either number one, not playing well right now the last couple of years, number two, just never any good, I guess, or number three, you're below that cutoff line, wherever that ends up being. Is that 64 teams? Is it 72 teams? Is it 50 teams? It's not exactly a situation that a lot of us are excited about, if we're being honest, right?
Nobody is.
So, I mean, obviously, you as a Bama fan, you don't have to worry about this. It doesn't matter
True.
it doesn't matter what iteration of
Oh,
college football happens. Bama's going to be involved,
oh,
right?
yeah. I mean, it's like, as a Bama man, it's like Alabama's fine, but it's like the rest of college sports, it kind of hurts my heart just seeing what's going on, what's going to be happening in the world of college sports, not just, just everybody else as a whole. Like, this really bites, honestly.
Yeah,
Because, I
it
mean,
does.
it's not something you want to see.
It just feels like legislation's pushing us there. So, look, revenue's fine. Expansion is going to be what's the forefront of people's minds. I just, unity is going to be very important here. And we need to make sure that we walk out of there of sound mind together, like we always have in the past until now. This is the first time when I've felt like, maybe somebody would consider a move somewhere else. Maybe West Virginia would listen to the ACC now, because the Big 12 is not so stable now as to where it used to be. Like, I don't think we can afford to lose one team, really, because it would destabilize us to the point to where we'd be out, right?
Yeah.
So it's 50 different states, 50 different laws. Every conference is kind of making up its own policies. And we need one framework and one system, because without it, think about what that means. It means that if the NCAA can't control this, then the conferences are going to be left to. And you better look. You don't want that to happen. If you're asking for national leadership, then show your own members you're rowing in the same direction, because that credibility is going to matter as well. I just think that this media day speech is bigger than anything he's had to do so far. It's not about selling a Big 12 anymore. We're not open for business anymore as much. Like, it's the idea that the conference is organized and unified. We need to hear that. We need to figure out a way, whatever they got to do to fix that with Texas Tech. I don't know if it can be fixed. It seems like Cody Campbell's been at odds with Brett Yormark for a while now. And I'm kind of ready for what happens next, but at the same time, I'm not. So if lawmakers are going to decide the future of the sport, we might as well see it just feels like the sport's going to tear itself apart before this can be done. I wished it wasn't the case, but at the end of the day, that's kind of how it feels. So, we'll see what Brett Yormark comes up with. Certainly a lot to discuss concerning that, but let's get on the Big 12 media days. There's 16 other teams in this league, and there is a lot to discuss from a standpoint of storylines. Like we said earlier, you've got 4 coaches on the hot seat, or 2 coaches on the hot seat, 4 new coaches in this league. And there is quite a few things that you can kind of talk about regarding this league. And so we'll start in reverse order. We'll start with West Virginia, not because we're biased or anything, I promise. And we'll come back right here after this quick 4-second break on College Sports Insiders.
College Sports Insiders.
I don't know about that gong, man. I think there's better sounds like this. That's kind of how I feel thinking about media days. All right, let's go by our cheat sheet. Obviously, don't need it for West Virginia. Rich Rodriguez is in year 2, 4-8, 35 in, 74 out. It was a big flip. Cam Cook, Mike Hawkins Jr., Kamari Wilson, Wes King, Tyler Stolsky. We mentioned them earlier. Freshman Amari Latimer, Kevin Brown, Matt Sig, all probably going to make some type of impact on this team. Top returners is Jaden Bray, who I said earlier on my show has been labeled and not maybe not elite, but a very good receiver by not just one but 2 separate coaching staffs now. So if he can stay healthy, you feel pretty good about his chances to be great. Nick Cray obviously moves into left guard from left tackle and has looked like the best offensive lineman of the bunch. And we think there's NFL linemen on this team. Scotty Fox Jr. comes back after his freshman season last year. That was tumultuous, but it had its moments against Houston and others. Ben Cutter, Jacob Bradford, or others that are going to be impact players, I think, on defense. Ben Cutter is a returner. Jacob Bradford is a newbie coming over from LSU, but a lot of people are excited about. Jameer Latimer comes back. He's kind of in a weird situation where he's played for this entire, not only the head coach, but the defensive coordinator before at Jack State. He transferred to Wisconsin and is now back and reunited with them. And, man, does he look good this offseason, along with his brother, Amari Latimer. But, last year was Rich Rod's first full season. They were up against it in December. They had to figure it out. It was a tough situation. They didn't have the first portal window. They didn't really have a high school recruiting class. They tried to keep together what Neil Brown and company had going on. And they did a pretty good job of it, but they weren't their guys, right? So you bring in Rick Trickett to rebuild this offensive line and replace the horrible Jack McNeil. Cam Cook is expected to probably be one of the most productive backs in the league, if not the most productive. If you told me by the end of the year he was the most productive back in the league, I wouldn't blink an eye. And Zach Valley's been asked to retool this defense, Jackson. Could West Virginia be one of the surprise teams in the Big 12? I think some people think that, some people don't. I think West Virginia can be, and for the reasons I mentioned. I'll go through them real quick, and I'll let you go, Jackson. I think if you had to ask me, here's 1 minute, make your case as to why West Virginia is going to have such a turnaround. Because I think we're going to have maybe the best offensive lineman in the Big 12, definitely top 2 or 3 at worst. Even Phil Steele says that. And that's because you've got 3 players on this group that have never allowed a sack in their career, multiple starts. That was intentional. They went out and found dudes that have just been really good in that area. And you got to understand, like, guys that can pass protect are usually pretty good in this scheme because of the athleticism it takes to run this scheme. It takes an athletic type offensive lineman. Well, they went out and got both in this situation. They got Carson Cassidy, who was dominant on a 2,000-plus yard UConn team last year as their right tackle. He looks amazing so far. Obviously, you've got first-team all-conference offensive line transfer, Amari Grayson coming in. You've got another all-conference guy and his teammate Cam Griffin coming in. Those are 2 all-conference guys you're adding to the mix. You have returnees in Landon Livingston and Nick Cray. Nick Cray is looking like an all-conference potential player. Wes King comes over from Wyoming, having never allowed a sack at Wyoming in over 30 starts, and he's going to slot in at center. And then there's a battle going on at tackle, one other tackle spot. Kevin Brown, like I said, Carson Cassidy, Malik Agbo, and others are battling for those spots. Malik Agbo, former 4-star transfer from Texas. Carson Cassidy, we talked about. Kevin Brown, probably the most physically gifted offensive lineman we've ever recruited. And I realize, we've recruited some really good ones. He's in the conversation. So this offensive line is going to be so good. And if you've never saw a Rich Rod offense, when the offensive line is that good, it's a potent offense that can get you 39 or 40 points a game. It's an offense that can get you 240 or 250 rushing yards a game. And they've got a plethora of running backs to do that with, not starting with the leading rusher from last year in Cam Cook, as well as more. So I see a path to success through that avenue. Sure, the defense would have to play a part, but I think this rushing attack is going to be so lethal next year. I really do believe this, that they're going to be really tough to stop at times, no matter who it is. I don't care if it's Texas Tech or anybody else. I really believe we're going to be able to run the ball on almost anybody. Based on past experience with this offensive line coach, with this coordinator, Rich Rodriguez, and the style of players he's brought in. I've seen this before. I've witnessed it for literally years and years and years. I watched this scheme, this style, this hard edge, whatever you want to call it, mixed with this play caller, mixed with that offensive line coach, create magic. It took us almost to the national championship game. We're going to be fine in the Big 12 with this running attack. Now, will we lose games because of our defense? That remains to be seen, Jackson.
Yeah, I'm curious to see where the rushing attack's gonna be, but I've got a good feeling about where it's going for West Virginia. Like the rushing attack's gonna be a huge strength, and so will the offensive line. I'm ready to see what the defense will bring because I feel like this is gonna be one of the league's best defenses, honestly.
If that ends up being the case, honestly, then we're going to be a team that wins 9, 10, maybe even 10 games. I know that sounds crazy to people. Some people are going to look at me and really think I have a third eye. But I'm telling you, I'll bet whatever somebody wants to bet preseason. If you want to go $100, you want to go $200, I'll bet $200 for somebody right now that West Virginia has a 2,500 plus rushing offense this year. I believe that. So because of the way the quarterback they brought in, was very intentional with the running back they brought in and the offensive line. Unless it just becomes a total bust, which can happen, absolutely can. We didn't even bring up wide receiver. They're deep and talented receiver as well.
Receiving core is amazing.
Yeah, I mean they've got pieces. Obviously, now is it the best receiving core I've ever seen? I'm not saying that. Like I'm not saying that it's even the David Sills, Gary Jennings group, but I think there's potential. I think there's potential there. It's going to take a little longer for this to be a team that can beat you through the air, I think, every week. It's not Mike Hawkins thing for me, and more so as it is. I just need to see what receivers end up being what and how they step up. I definitely think there's a potential there between Teron Francis, the LSU transfer, Prince Strom, the USC transfer, Jaden Bray, obviously, who could be one of the best receivers in the league if he could just stay healthy, and the myriad of other guys they brought in too. The two top 7 JUCO players in the entire, like they were both ranked. One was the number 1 JUCO wide receiver in the nation. The other was the number 7 wide receiver in the nation. They paid those guys well to come in. One of them is a 4.3 guy, Keon Hutchins, headball Hutchins, who can straight up run past you and get the top off the defense. Kedrick Triplett is another guy that they brought in from the JUCO ranks that they think they're going to count on to play. Cyrus Trawl, they go about 10 deep at receiver. They go 12 deep at 10 or 12 deep at offensive line. They go 5 or 6 deep at running back, and they go at least 2 deep at quarterback. So to say that I'm high on the offense is an understatement. I don't know that we'll be able to, if we get behind in games, that's where we could possibly be bad, because I think we're going to have a quick strike offense from the run. But if some people can sell out to stop the run, I mean, numbers are numbers at the end of the day. If people stack 9 in the box, and you just have to put up with that, and at the end of the day, you're going to get stopped. But, if this team can throw it even just some, like let's say 5 or 6 out of 10 on a scale of 1 to 10, passing attack, just good enough to get out of jams, to be able to move the ball a little bit, I think they'll be okay. But I don't know if this is a team that you want to see coming from behind. That would be potentially a weakness. I don't know. We'll see. They may just be so explosive with the running game that I don't know. But you mentioned the defense, Jackson. It's definitely valid. I mean, if you want to make the case for the defense to be good, you can say that Nate Gabriel is going to come back. I think he's going to be he's going to be maybe an honorable mention, potentially all Big 12 caliber player. As at the nose, I really think he's got potential to be that. He's been growing into it. He started since he was a freshman. Um, you know, obviously you bring in a couple guys on the defensive line that you really like. I'm a big fan of Ezekiel Durham Campbell coming over from Coastal, a guy that had about 6 sacks last year at a defensive end spot. He's 6'5", he's 250, very talented. Love his game a lot. There are other returners on that offensive line or defensive line, and Corey McIntyre, who has obviously played really well at times in his career. And then the JUCO guys. Jalen Thomas is a monster of a man at 6'3", 310 pounds that plays on the nose that we feel West Virginia has really recruited the crap out of him from JUCO, as well as Jalen Henson, who I think is going to be the best of the bunch. Jalen Henson's a name you get to know now. He's a disruptive, athletic, 6'4", 275 defensive tackle, and is a guy that can really move around up there. And like I said, if you want to look at a comp for him, Dante Stills is your comp. That's who Jalen Henderson. Good Lord, don't let me go there. That's who this guy is. But a guy that can just flat out move, Henson. So yeah, I like his game a lot. At linebacker, you've got 6 new linebackers you brought in. You do have guys that are returning. Ben Cutter is obviously a veteran. You look at other guys in that group. There's no doubt that there are pieces that can be good. They brought in Malachi Hood from Illinois. They brought in Patterson from UNLV, who was a freshman last year that had 46 or 47 tackles. So, they've got guys there. But we don't know how they're going to pair together. So we'll see. John has just been a godsend at corner. We think is 6'4", 210-pound corner that they intentionally went out and got from Georgia State. I've heard great things about him all offseason. Nick Taylor is another guy, 6'1" guy at corner, lengthy, quick, coming over from App State last year. We like him at corner. I don't know if he's going to start or not. Could be another guy. And then the nickel room. This is Zach Alley, one of the most talented nickel rooms I've ever had. That's his words, not mine. That means the safety room in general is talented as F. So, there are pieces on this team. It's just nobody knows about it yet. We'll find out how many of them actually end up holding up to what I'm saying here. I'm painting a real pretty picture, and I get that that's a little over the top in some ways, but I really believe what I'm saying. So, if the gold and blue glasses are on for me, fine. The gold and blue glasses are on, Jackson.
That's fine with me.
I think I make good points. It's not like I'm talking about real players that have had real success at other places. It's a lot to get acclimated at once, and I can concede that. But that's why I think this team, if this team all comes back next year, it's Big 12 contention. I do believe that. Wait to see what they do this year first. But the pieces they have, especially the freshmen they have, if you come back in the next year and you're telling me we have Matt Sig, we have Amari Latimer, we have Kevin Brown, I may not need to hear anything else. This, I'll be so excited. You might hear the table, you might hear, and you'll have to ask yourself, what is that? What did Paul just get excited over? So yeah, no doubt about that. But obviously that's not the only team in the league. There are others, but certainly, Jackson, let's put the bow on this West Virginia preview. Rich Rod and company are going to come up here. They're only bringing 3 guys. I think that's intentional. They're just going to keep small, indescript. Don't pay attention to us. We don't want any attention. And we'll show you guys come regular season. Almost nobody is picking West Virginia to do anything. Phil Steele, the closest one I've seen at number 7 in the league, which is very respectable for what they are this year. I think this is a team that can finish in the top 5. 8 wins, 9 wins in that range. They're capable as hell of this. So we'll see what they end up doing. Rich Rod, year 1 to year 2 jump is going to be huge. Give me your thoughts overall just on everything I said, Jackson. I know it's
100%. And that's got to feel good to hear Phil Steele believing that the Mountaineers can finish 7th in the standings.
It's true.
Yeah, that's a win right there. It's I think I was close on that on my preseason predictions for West Virginia.
Yeah, you were.
Yeah, because you know, three of us. I mean, great minds think alike, as they say.
Yeah, I'm with you. Um, let's move on here. Obviously, we're not going to dive so deep on everybody else. Arizona, we talked about earlier. We'll bring it back up again. We're just going to go over them quickly. Um, for me, I think, Rodney Gallagher is an interesting piece for them. I think he can, he never kind of got the treatment he deserved at West Virginia from a receiver standpoint. Like he was he was just in a bad situation. He came in the Neil Brown era. We had Garrett Green, who's not going to throw a bunch of balls to Rodney Gallagher. And then you transition over into Rich Rod's era. Same thing, right? Like you just get a freshman quarterback acclimated. Rodney said, "Look, I got to go somewhere where I can find me a veteran quarterback that can find me and throw me the football." And I think he found that in Noah Fafita. So, well, that could be a connection that could be interesting this year. Rodney's not an elite athlete. He's he's quick in small space, but like his wheels aren't what I thought they were going to be coming out of high school. But certainly, like I said, he could prove me wrong. But overall, this is a team. Can Noah Fafita return to elite form? Arizona has to prove last year wasn't a fluke. Their secondary's been completely rebuilt. And are they or are they not a Big 12 kind of title contender, Jackson, in year number 3 for Brent Brennan?
I would say they are. I mean, how do you not have Noah Fafita and Brent Brennan, just running the thing for Arizona? I mean, like, think about it. Question is, can we see Fafita return to all Big 12 form? Is the rebuilt secondary championship caliber? Are we going to see the Wildcats follow up a 9-win season? Like, that's a question there. I mean, that could happen. I mean, they definitely have that going for them.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, like Arizona. One question too: is Rodney Gallagher the third going to be an immediate impact player?
Right. Right. Well, that's what I was saying. Yeah, I don't know. I think he's got a chance to be. I mean, I never was blown away from him. Like, just my personal opinion, like he's gone from West Virginia. I rooted for him like hell. Like I wanted because he wanted to be so good at West Virginia. Like he loved West Virginia. He loved Neil Brown too. But like I didn't root for anybody harder than I rooted for him to be good at West Virginia. It just didn't work. And I came to I came to a conclusion over the course of time because I think, he didn't show. And even though like he didn't have great surrounding help, I don't think he's an elite player. I would love for him to prove me wrong though. Like I'm not rooting against him at all. I think he's maybe an average or above average player. Like could he have 50 or 60 catches this year? That would be like at the high end of what I could see for him. I'm be probably expecting him to have 20 or 30 catches again and 300 or 400 yards and 3 or 4 touchdowns, maybe. I mean, that's just he's not what we thought he was going to be coming out, right? Which is like a Wes Welker type or some. And he's had to learn the receiver spot all on his own, so it's just been the way his career's gone. Arizona State stacked up with the Mario Miller, Reed Harris, Cutter Boley, Mikey Green. That kick from Kansas, Lyric Rawls is an elite player. They had one of the more impressive portal coups in the country, no doubt about it. It's Kenny Dillingham, I think, is going to have this team rolling. Kaiso Brown, Zias Fiso, CJ Fight, God, man, what a player. Montana Warren, and then Kamari Anderson all return. The storylines for this team are they replacing Sam Levitt? So who's going to be the new quarterback? That roster turnover is going to be tough, but I mean, it's everybody at this point. And I think they should, the question is, should they still be viewed as a contender? I say yes, Jackson.
No doubt. I mean, like they handed Texas Tech their only loss in the regular season last year. So,
Fair.
That they always will have a say. I mean, you said it earlier on Locked On West Virginia tonight. They've Yeah, well, this afternoon, my bad. Like you said it yourself, like Arizona State has set that standard to the point
Right.
where 8-5 can be looked at as a disappointing season where they want better. They want a 10-win season. They
Right.
want an 11-win season.
Think about how quick Kenny Dillingham did that to them. They went
Yeah.
8-5 last year, and people were mad.
Yeah.
Think about what Arizona State football has been the last 20 years. 8-5 should have been tickled pink, but
Oh, yeah.
because of what he did with them guys in the first year, literally almost going to the national championship game. I mean, the expectations are going to be through the roof the next year. It just is what it is. And unfortunately, they had a bunch of things not go their way, right? So
Yeah.
injuries and Sam Levitt, the whole thing.
It's a mess.
So they're a team that I think you could stabilize. I don't think they're going to be the top end of what they were with Levitt, just because Levitt, he's a Pat White, right? Like he's for them. He's just a once in a generation type player. You don't get those guys every year. What Levitt was for them at his best was national championship worthy quarterback. He just didn't have everything else around him to win it. Moving on here to Jackson's favorite team in Baylor with Dave Aranda. They went 5-7 the last year, and I say this with all due respect to Baylor. They're stuck in the Neil Brown era right now, where it's like year 5, year 6, we still losing. Now, they had at least one solid year under him where more than solid, very good, 11 wins, I think it was. Maybe somebody can correct me if it was less or more, but I know they had a really great first year under him. Sugar Bowl, I believe, was it Jackson?
Yep, the Sugar Bowl 2022 on New Year's Day for the 2021 season.
Obviously, they had one of the most fascinating portal hauls of the offseason with Lagway. Also, Garrett Ponder was a player that a lot of people wanted. Cameron Washington, Draylon Miller, and Yakiri Walker in the offensive line spot is going to be an impact guy. They bring back Kylan Reed, Kyler Jordan, Michael Allen, Matthew Kloppenstein, which is one of the best names out there, and Jamal Weiss Jr., which is another just monster defensive lineman. Baylor is an interesting team. They were 5-7 last year. You could definitely make the case that Aranda had them on the cusp of maybe win. Like they lost a few close games. They could have won 7 games last year. Then you're looking at them in a whole new light, right? And if they're 7-5 instead of 5-7, you're looking at them last year like, are they pushing back into dark horse? You look at what they did at the end of not this past year, but the year before that, where they just rattled off a bunch of wins. I mean, that was impressive. Like they were nobody, and then they just flipped the switch. So Aranda has shown flashes at Baylor. Can he be a Frank Beamer, a guy that struggles to get it rolling for 4 or 5 years, finally figures it out? I think Aranda is one of the better and more interesting coaches in our league. He's just different, right? I mean, he's not going to show you a bunch of emotion. He's kind of funny in a dry way. I'm sure there's some things that people don't like about him, but for me, I root for him because he's had it pretty rough there in Waco. So
yeah, I mean, like Aranda is a pretty cool guy to hang out with, but it is, kind of a good question to wonder, like, how has he stayed on for so long? Like, especially after that 2-4 start 2024, right? Where it looked like he was going to get canned, right?
He probably would have.
Mm-hmm. But then that 6-game winning streak happened, saved his job for 2025.
Right.
5-7, I mean, Baylor is expected to do much better than what they were expected to do.
Right.
I thought it was going to be similar to where Neil Brown got fired after 2024, but Dave Aranda got the vote of confidence for 2026. And honestly, he's in the hottest seat of the Big 12 as of right now.
He's definitely in a hot seat. Yeah,
I mean, nobody's expecting you to beat Auburn, but
I mean, last year they did. I mean, I think that was a fair thing to expect. They were really good.
Yeah.
But it just didn't happen, right? So, and that sets the season off to a bad start. But yeah, I mean, the storylines for Baylor are DJ Lagway arrives with huge expectations. Aranda is going to enter the season on the hottest seat in the league, like you said.
Yeah.
And they built both offensive and defensive lines.
True.
That's a fact. BYU and Kalani Sitake were 12-2 last year, 9 in, 20 out. Good Lord. I mean, what an offseason they've had with the additions of Uwave, Walker Lyons, Kyler Casper, Jabin Williams, Fanal. They've just one thing after another. They've killed it. They bring back Bear Bachmeyer. They bring back LJ Martin. They bring back Isaiah Glasker. They bring back Satuala. They lose Parker Kingston, unfortunately, with the honor code. I think he had the charges drop, but he still broke the honor code. This is a legitimate Big 12 contender, potentially a favorite, right? Elite defense coming back here.
Really gonna bring it.
Bear Bachmeyer has to become a superstar for them to ascend, I think. But it's there for the taking. And they are the biggest threat to Texas Tech. That's the storyline. Are they the biggest threat to Texas Tech? Answer is yes. At the end of the day, this is a group that the consistency of Kalani Sitake is second to none in the country, not just in the Big 12. He does it year in. He does it year out. He does it with the same demeanor and grace and humility. And the occasional shot, too, he'll take, very subtle, but he's good at it. Kalani Sitake, after meeting him and his father, clearly, I'm biased now. If you haven't met that family, meet them. They're amazing. They're well worth the price of admission, as is Provo, one of the coolest cities I've ever gone to, and we'll be going back. So, but, obviously Baylor is in a situation where do they play Baylor this year?
Yes.
I thought they did.
2 weeks before rivalry week.
So I was looking at this earlier. The matchup of Lagway versus Bachmeyer is going to be interesting, right? Just that, to me on paper, that seems like an interesting matchup.
November 14th.
Yeah, we'll see what that one looks like. But, I think the Cougs can definitely be a team that scares some folks this year, even in the SEC potentially. They need Bear to make a step. But
yeah, that was funny though. Like last season, when Jake Ratzloff got kicked off the team, everybody was just kind of a lot of people were just throwing the baby out with the bathwater on this time last year, but they had no idea about Bear Brotmeyer, and Bear brought out the bear last season against everyone except against Test Tech, but that's okay.
right.
I'm gonna say right now, I would not want to go against Bear Botmeyer in 2026, 2027, or 2028.
Well, I mean, obviously LJ Martin is the star of this team now. What a player, what a running back, one of the most physical running backs in the country. Could have went to the NFL. But he comes back to do something special in Provo. He's going to have another 1,300 yard year, 10, 12 touchdowns. He can catch it out of the backfield. He's got some Le'Veon Bell in his game. He's not a top end speed guy, but he's got everything else. He's just a workhorse running back, and he ain't slow. I'm just saying he ain't going to win no sprinting contest. He's too big. But as far as being like somebody's thunder, he's got that. I think he's going to be one of the great next big backs in the NFL. He'll be really good at the next level too. Wouldn't be surprised to see him become a Pro Bowler even. I think I could see that in his future. Moving on here to Cincinnati. Your boy Scott Satterfield was 7-6 last year. The Visor, 22 in, 35 out. They bring in J.C. French and Cade Wolford to shore up that passing attack. J.B. Gibson, a really sneaky ad for them. The kid Thomas Johnson at the edge and MJ Cannon at corner, all additions that people were raving about. Isaiah Johnson, what can you say about that returner? Zion Johnson, Antoine Peak Jr., Evan Tangsadal, however you say his last name, and then Taron Yo, all returners that they like. The storyline is simply, how do you replace Sorsby? ×2 if you go to Texas Tech. But, yeah, I mean, how do you replace Sorsby? The offensive line is going to be a strength. They've got one of the best offensive lines in the league. If you look at the preseason accolades, I think they've got 3 all-conference guys on that line. So it's going to be a strength with Cotton and company, unless Cotton may be gone. I don't know. Joe Cotton probably is gone. But Satterfield's going to be coaching under pressure. And,
Oh, no doubt.
this is going to be a situation where does he buckle or does he ascend? I know you're not the biggest Satterfield guy, so you think he's going to buckle?
Yeah, because that's thing. There's a reason why Louisville was celebrating when Cincinnati hired him, because they were not happy with the Satterfield era either. So they're just kind of laughing at Cincinnati having their little beers at the front porch, honestly. So Cincinnati under Scott Satterfield in the month of November, 1-11. Anybody know where that one win was from? It was in 2023 against the Houston Cougars. I'm going to tell you right now, that was not a good Houston team 2023. I don't think, unless Cincinnati can start winning in November. Now, I mean, you're doing pretty good in September, October, but what can you do in November? That's going to be the question there. If Satterfield can get Cincinnati winning in November, then he may have a little staying power for 2027 and beyond.
Right. Moving on to Colorado, Deion Sanders is just an interesting situation. He's not in the EA Sports game. Makes you wonder what that was all about. Probably wanted more money, maybe, but who knows? I don't want to put that on him if that's not the case either. 3-9 last year, just total disappointment all the way around here for the squad. They got 31 in, 34 out. DeAndre Moore Jr. comes in, a great player. Boo Carter, a great player. Isaac Wilson is a head scratcher to me, but as a backup, I guess, sure, unless they're changing his position, like I said earlier. Damian Henderson II is a great running back, and Danny Scudero is another great receiver. So, those names right there are all stacked. Anybody, name it, Bama, Texas, would all be excited to get these players. Boo Carter's a monster, Jackson, as you know, from Tennessee last year. The returners on this team are Julian Lewis, who I think is, if you told me at the end of the year that Julian Lewis was the best quarterback in the Big 12, I would not be shocked. Former 5-star guy, has all the arm talent in the absolute world, man. He's undersized. Like I said, he's got Kyler Murray's size and arm. Athletically, he's not as fast. Preston Hodge, Cree Thomas, Santana Hopper, and Dallin Hayden all coming back here. The storylines here, Jackson, are the Julian Lewis era begins. Brennan Marion comes in to install that go-go offense we've heard so much about. And Deion needs a bounce-back season bad. After all the support, all the donor money, all the everything, it's time, Deion. Can you actually fix this thing? I've got a Walmart order showing up, Jackson. I'm going to let you take over for a minute. If you want to move on to Houston next, do you have the rundown on Houston?
Absolutely.
You can move on to Houston in a second if you run out of things to say, but I'm just going to be grabbing my stuff. I'll be right back.
Right. Sounds good. Now we'll talk a little bit about the rest of Colorado for a little bit, right? Now, what we've seen from the Deion Sanders coach prime era, right? Looking at Colorado from 2023, everybody talked about him. You saw Coach Prime getting 60 interviews on 60 Minutes. Colorado was talked about everywhere. College Game Day, big news. Everybody and their mother was talking about the Colorado Buffaloes circling the wagons, right? That humongous overtime game against Colorado State. College Game Day was going there for week 3. But then Colorado didn't do so well the rest of the season. Couldn't make a bowl game. And then 2024, no one's really talking about Colorado in the preseason. You don't see 60 Minutes having on Deion Sanders, but what happens? Colorado impresses everybody. Yeah, they come up short of the Big 12 title game thanks to an upset loss by Kansas. And, you got Hunter winning the Heisman in 2024. But, they get smacked off the face of the earth by BYU in the Alamo Bowl. 2025, everybody's talking about Colorado. What happens? They fall. They don't even come close to a bowl game once again by going 3-9. Now, this season, no one's really talking about them. You're not seeing any positivity around the Colorado Buffaloes, which means you could definitely see them as a surprise team in the 2026 season. Do not be surprised if you see Julian Lewis just padding stats up. Do not be surprised if you see them pulling off an upset over a Texas Tech, and then you randomly see them lose a random game like an Oklahoma State or something like that. Like I'm going to tell you right now, you will see the Colorado Buffaloes have a say in who gets in the Big 12 title or not. You're not going to see them go to a Big 12 title. That's not happening. But will you see them have a say so? Absolutely, you will. That is one thing you're going to have to remember. This is a huge year for them. Feels like they win the portal every year, but this time it's put up or shut up time. Something tells me they're going to be fine this year, but we'll definitely wait and see. But the Houston Cougars, I want to talk about them for a sec. Because you got a lot of key guys returning, like Connor Wegman. And you got Henderson just sitting there in the pen, waiting it out for 2027. And you've got Kalai Lufer, Will James, Kentrell Webb returning on defense. Ari Thomas being one of the top targets for Wegman. Last season, the Houston Cougars surprised everyone with that second-year jump that Willie Fritz had them make, where they went 9-3, and then they won their bowl game in the Texas Bowl against the LSU Tigers. And you got some guys from the portal like Makai Hughes for running back. You got Hurst at the offensive line, interior offensive lineman Anthony Boswell. They're stocking up on offensive line, and Ashton Porter, for defensive line, and you got Jaden Yates at linebacker. So there's some continuity in Houston. Everybody's talking about the Houston Texans, the Houston Astros. Some people are talking about the Houston Rockets even as well. But the Houston Cougars, everybody talks about the Houston Cougars men's basketball team. But the Houston Cougars football team, you can bet your bottom dollar that team is going to have a say in who gets in the Big 12 title night. Or maybe they can have a Cougs versus Cougs game. We'll know more in week 3. And, I want to go ahead and take a look at the Big 12 media days for who's coming and who's not. So let's look at how many guys Houston is bringing. So they're going to be having Mackenzie Agnello, Jordan Allen, Khalil Lufer, Amari Thomas, Connor Wegman, and Kentrell Webb. They're bringing a lot of guys. They're going to be showing up for Big 12 Media Day. They're really bringing the A game. And, Tim Williams is no accident. And if you see Wegman keep developing, don't be surprised if you see Houston getting their first Big 12 title, possibly. I'm going to tell you, it could be a wild ride. Look at the magic that Willie Fritz has done at Georgia Southern. Look at what he's done with Tulane. He made Tulane a winning football team. You don't think he can't get Houston a Big 12 title? Think about that for a sec. He's made Tulane their own version of Cradle of Coaches in the city of New Orleans. You got one of the most underrated programs in America right now with the Houston Cougars. I believe this can, just looking at that the non-conference schedule looks pretty good. It looks pretty good right now. Just looking at it, you got Oregon State. This isn't your older brother's Oregon State. This is certainly not your dad's Oregon State. This is Oregon State of now. You got Southern and Georgia Southern. That non-con schedule is yeah.
So
yeah.
Moving back in here, I know you were probably at Houston, right?
Yep.
Did you go through all their additions and everything?
I did.
Okay. So
chat, let me know if I left out anything while Paul was gone for a bit.
So I trust you, man. I don't mean to make it come off like I don't trust you.
Oh, I know.
I was just making sure you did the list. So obviously this is one of the league's most stable rosters. As you said, I think that this is a team that I have mixed feelings about because number one, I want to beat Parker, and he's a coworker of mine, and we kind of have a rivalry, friendly rivalry. But besides that, Parker at Locked On Cougs, by the way, or Locked On Houston Cougs. We smacked them last year. West Virginia did.
Uh-huh.
We put up 250 plus on them. It makes me feel weird about them because we just demoralized them. West Virginia absolutely mollywopped Houston last year. Yeah. Everybody has off games, right? I get that. But the offensive line we had last year wasn't supposed to be good enough to do that. They couldn't do that to Robert Morris in week one. They couldn't do it to anybody. No. Like, go look across that. Go look at last year. West Virginia had the worst offensive line in the history of West Virginia last year, ever. It was the worst one. And there's not really a close second. It's the worst offensive line I've ever watched in my life. It would have been an average FCS offensive line at best. They had a couple good individual pieces, but when the whole of them pieces are shit, there's nothing you can do about it.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, but like West Virginia had the worst players in the history of our school ever starting last year, and I can prove it by the numbers. Last year, if you just look at the numbers alone, Keno, the last rated guard in college football. Out of 300 and something eligible players. Last rated. Insane. Walter Youngbear was rated 200 and something. An insane number. But yeah, so, the other pieces were decent enough at times. We even had our right tackles in the hundreds. Point is, they went out and mollywopped Houston with that offensive line like that. Now, I will concede that was a very emotional week for them. They had somebody pass away. You remember this, Jackson? Houston had a coach pass away last year.
Yeah, I think it's like a former coach, obviously.
Was it not their strength coach?
Yeah, I think it was like the week of, man.
Hold on, I'll find out right now. Which Houston coach passed the week of the W game? So it looks like, the director of strength and performance, Kurt Hester.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so unfortunate from cancer. They wore black uniforms during the game. So, I mean, look, that could have made a big impact on the game. I'm not going to say it couldn't. How could it not? But when I go back and look at that game, West Virginia wins that thing 45-35. And
West Virginia won in Houston's backyard.
Dior Hubbard, Jeff Weimer.
Yeah.
Guys, you just don't see. I mean, West Virginia had Sincere Bowers with 65 yards. Scotty Fox Jr. had 65 yards. Dior Hubbard had 108 yards rushing. I mean, they just took them to town, man. But anyways, my only question about Houston is, are they soft, or was that just a one-off? Is their scheme predisposed to an offense like that? Probably looking too deep into it, most likely. But part of me wishes that West Virginia.
Fine with Willie Fritz. I mean,
I know you're a big Fritz guy.
I like him. I like what he did with Tulane and Georgia Southern. I mean, I love what he's going to do with Houston.
Right. Certainly, there's the opportunity for major success for them this year. There's no doubt. Moving on to Iowa State now, though, head coach Jimmy Rogers inherits a team that lost literally everyone. Yeah. Name it, they lost it. Over 70 players gone from this team last year, and 50 in. They bring in Jalen Rayner, one of my favorite quarterbacks in the portal. Love that kid, man. Just an absolute dynamic player. Now, I mean, you could definitely make a case that like maybe he didn't do it at a high level, whatever. I mean, sure, I get that. I get that. Like, he's also a little undersized, I guess. But I mean, what they did at Arkansas State was awesome, dude. His Arkansas State year last year, he played all 13 games. He completed 66% of his passes, 3,300 yards and 19 touchdowns. He also had 7 rushing touchdowns. So that's 20. That's a great year, right? I mean, you can't really ask for much better than 26 touchdowns in a year. And then had 4 games of 70% or more completion percentage. That's RG3 level of completion percentage. Remember when RG3 was doing that?
Man.
Now
many memories.
He was 19 to 33 for 222 against Iowa State. Rushed for 83 yards and a touchdown against Iowa State as well. A really good Iowa State team. So, you finish your career at Arkansas State with 37 games, 36 starts, 8,600 yards, 52 touchdowns, and 15 rushing touchdowns for a total of, which is an insane career. I mean, 67 touchdowns. So this dude's been massively productive. And if you're looking for bright spots on this Cyclone team, there's your first one. It starts at the top. Isaac Terrell comes in. Jordan Bailey comes in. Arnold Barnes comes in, and Malcolm Jones comes in. The Cyclones have had to go to lower levels to get a lot of these players, but they went out and got guys that Coach Jimmy Rogers thinks they can win with. Aiden Flora, kicker Kyle Conardi returns. Zamir Hawk, that's a cool name at defensive tackle. Cam Petaway comes in. That's a former West Virginia player, pretty sure. And Carson Willich. So, Cam Petaway. I'm thinking of Marcel Petaway. So, yeah, obviously the big storylines here, Jackson, are the Matt Campbell era is over with. You've got to come to terms with the guy that's been there for a decade plus leaving, and that's a tough thing to do. We've been through it at West Virginia. We get it. We understand. Like Don Nealon, Rich Rodriguez was almost here a decade before he left. Daniel Holgerson was here a while. Neil Brown was here 6 years. Like, we get it. Like, when coaches are entrenched, it's tough to lose them, especially when they're winning and they're good, or you don't want them to leave. I think it got stale a little bit with Matt Campbell at Iowa State, and I think he's going to rejuvenize Penn State in some ways. But, yeah, obviously this is a scenario where you've got 70 newcomers and a massive rebuild under Jimmy Rogers, Jackson.
Yeah, I mean, like, honestly, before Matt Campbell came, this team was known as one of the losingest programs in all of college football. Like, think about this. Now, they've still got the longest conference title drought in all of college football, where the last time they won a conference title as a whole was 1912, 2 years before World War I. Let that sink in. Like, Iowa State, man, like, wow. And Matt Campbell, like, just created a winner out of that program. Like, he left Toledo for Iowa State. Some people are like, what? Why didn't you leave for a better program? But then he creates a winner over in Ames, Iowa, right?
Yeah.
And Jimmy Rogers now, he's been creating some winners over at South Dakota State. Got them a national title in the FCS level in his
great coach.
Oh, yeah. And sits in Washington State his only year. Now, I mean, I know it's not Mike Leach, Washington State, but that's okay because, he got him rolling a little bit. He had a pretty good year for, a bad era for a Badman Rising that's in Pullman, Washington. Now, the question is this a rebuild or is this a reload in Ames, Iowa? Now, I mean, I think this is a rebuild for year one, I think. Or they reloaded for the next 5 years.
If you're an Iowa State fan, this is the number you pound until it's pounded into the dirt, until it's pounded into ashes, until it's pounded into nothingness. Washington State had 75 newcomers last year. and went 6-6.
Yeah.
You know, like if you're an Iowa State fan, you're holding on to that.
Oh yeah.
There's just no other way around it. Now, I'm sorry, but the Pac-12 or whatever it is that you're in there is just not the Big 12.
Oh man, like these days it was the Pac-2 for the last 2 seasons, but now it's basically the Pac-12 minus 10 plus sits.
Think about this. It took them 2 hours to hire this kid, Jimmy Rogers.
Man.
Like they must have knew that he was leaving for a while or had a feeling, or they did their due diligence before Campbell left or what have you. But man, you know, the roster exodus at Washington State was certainly similar to this one. So, you know, if you're going to look at one thing to get you excited about Iowa State, that's the thing, right? Storylines are Matt Campbell era is all gone, 50 or 70 newcomers and a massive rebuild. So, thoughts on them, and you know, like, give me a thought on their record. Do you think? Tell me, when do you think they get?
I don't think they make it to a bowl game, unfortunately. I think they're going to have a losing record, but they will have a say in whoever gets into the Big 12 title game. That's as far as I go with the Iowa State Cyclones. So that's kind of where it's at the moment for Iowa State.
100% agree. You know, I've seen some people label this a trap game for West Virginia. I don't see that. I think they're going to, you know, I mean, it could be because it's in Ames, but
Ames, Iowa still scares the crap out of me, man.
But in year one under Rogers and company, I don't see it being good enough to get you a loss. We'll see, though. We'll see how West Virginia is playing then.
Well, there's one reason why I'd be nervous, because week 5 looks like a sloppy slate, and sloppy slate means upsets await.
Oh, God. Is that another one of your slogans?
That's a new one. It rhymes, too.
It does rhyme. You did good. Kansas, Lance Leipold or Leopold, however you say it. 5-7 last year has just not been the same without Andy Kotelnicki, and they are very balanced in the portal. 30 in, 28 out. You get Dylan Edwards, maybe the most talented running back in the portal, will come in. We're definitely in the conversation for the most talented. I'm saying he's the best talent-wise. He was he near 5-star guy? I mean, he's been everywhere. He's been at Kansas State. He's been at Colorado in the Big 12. Dylan Edwards loves him in the Big 12. Nick McMillan comes in at wide receiver. Connor Stroh, one of the best guards in the country, comes in. Travion McAlpine and Landon Watson are your top additions. Top returners are Calvin Clements, the left tackle from last year, good player. Trey Lathan, unfortunately, returns, one of the best players on that team, and that includes West Virginia when he was here. Trey Lathan's an elite player. He's probably going to be an all Big 12 first or second team guy this year. Leroy Harris at defensive end, Blake Harold and Cam Pickett, all back for this team. Bounce back season is needed for Lance Leopold, Jackson.
Yeah. And you know what helps him get a bounce back season? Andy Kotelnicki coming back as the assistant head coach. I mean, when you saw Kansas rocking and rolling in 2022, 2023, who was helping Lance Leopold? Andy Kotelnicki.
Kotelnicki.
There we go.
There you go. You got it.
There we go. Like Kotelnicki. I mean, you know, until the quarterback situation gets figured out, it's really hard to know what exactly this team is. But remember, this team can definitely have a say in who gets in the Big 12 title. I like the new running back room. I'm curious about that. And Leopold needs a bounce back season badly. He needs a bounce back season like a baby needs milk. That's how bad he needs it.
Do us a favor, guys. We've got a couple hundred watching here. If you don't mind to like the video, subscribe if you're new around here. We're at College Sports Insiders over here on YouTube. Would really appreciate if you guys would just come sub. You know, I don't like to beg for subs at all, but we're still kind of new. We're trying to start this thing out. Obviously, we're going to talk about everything, you know, all the Big 12, all the media days, they're going to get a preview. So if you like other teams around the country, we'll talk about that. So, but yeah, College Sports Insiders, Jackson's got a link for the chat, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
At some point, he'll get it in there.
Yeah.
I understand a lot of you guys are watching by X, so that makes it difficult to kind of make that transition. I understand that. Oops, sorry about that. But if you just come over to YouTube, find College Sports Insiders, and hit that subscribe button, it would mean a lot to us, please.
Tell your friends, your family, and the cashiers at Publix about the magic that we're making all right here.
College
Sports
Insider.
So, I mean, the cashiers at Publix are tired. They need something to look forward to.
Secret Agent 73, an interesting comment here. As College Sports Insiders, link is in the chat now. Go to X and put it too, buddy. I'm sorry.
No worries.
I'm trying to boss you around. If you don't care, if you don't mind, please.
Oh, I don't mind at all.
Secret Agent says the Big 12 is not united. I mean, look, I understand that you guys are upset over what happened. I'm not saying just get over it, but like nobody's guaranteed anything. Not even you all. You know, like. At least that was my feeling on the matter. Maybe I'm wrong, but like we're going to be the ACC if we don't watch out here. Like we can't let this divide us. This one player, this one thing. And I understand it's more than that. It's the tortillas, and like it feels like you guys have been targeted a while because this is the perspective I get from Texas Tech fans, and we'll get there in a minute. But like, just real quick, like I think Texas Tech fans feel like. You know, Yormark, you asked for somebody to step up. We did it. We took the bull by the horns. We invested. We brought a billionaire into this. And now we're being targeted because we did it, right? It's similar to that. And I understand those thought processes. Just, it's been really tough dealing with you know, a lot of the fans at Texas Tech over this time span. Like, I've wanted to have cordial conversations with them, but everybody's so damn divided over this. It's impossible. And I have run into several, literally, you know, probably at least 50 or 60 in the last day or two that are all talking about leaving the conference and how they are holding up the conference. If there's Texas Tech fans watching this, please don't act this way. You're literally acting how you accused Utah of acting for years after one great season. Surely you can see that. Like, yes, you are holding up the conference this year and last year, but that's not enough to warrant like trying to, like, you're not Hulk Hogan like in the WCW. You're not calling your shots, you know, like you don't have a creative control yet. So I don't know. It strikes me wrong. And it's not all of you like anything else, right? But I have ran into a lot of Texas Tech fans that feel that way. We'll get there in a minute, though, Jackson. Let's stay on the list here.
Yeah, because like Texas Tech, I'm just gonna say, like, you know, don't be upset about not having the 20% to your 80% because you think it's bad now, but then you're gonna get to a situation where you're gonna have 70% of what's wrong as to compared to 20% of what's wrong.
Right.
You don't want that, folks.
Kansas State, Colin Klein in year one.
That's been an amazing
last year. Huh?
That's been an amazing story. Colin Klein coming back.
Yeah, we'll get there. 6-6, 25 in, 32 out. Not huge numbers at all. They had Wendell Gregory from Oklahoma State, but I think I saw he got injured or something. I'll have to go back and look. Josh Manning, a great player, comes in. Isaiah Williams comes in. Jay Harris, a running back, is there. And Jason Prevard is there. Really all good players. Top returner is Avery Johnson. Is no surprise there. Shoeless Joe Jackson, the incredible running back. What a talented player he is. Jaron Tibbs, Garrett Oakley, and Austin Romaine all return. The storylines here to me are Colin Klein's debut. Avery Johnson is returning. And could this be a dark horse contender in the league, Jackson?
I think it can be, honestly. Like Kansas State, I mean, you got Avery Johnson coming back. I mean, that's always going to help you. You know, question is, can Colin Klein succeed immediately? Because I'm sure he's learned a lot from playing under Bill Snyder, and he's going to be coaching Avery Johnson. I mean, he's got all the talent in the world, and if he gets it all together, and if he does, you'll see the Wildcats jump back in the championship conversation. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when with Kansas State. Because it's going to be a wild ride with what Avery Johnson can bring.
Give me the prognosis. You're an SEC guy. What's the Texas A&M offense been like the last couple of years under Colin Klein?
Oh my God, it was amazing under Colin Klein.
Right.
He was preparing to take this job at Kansas State. Like, just imagine, like, all y'all saw what he did for Texas A&M in the 2025 season and in the 2024 season. Just imagine what he's going to do for Kansas State, because he's telling everybody, I'm back home for good in Manhattan.
Right. Yeah. A lot of impressive stuff there.
Manhattan, New York's nice and all, but it's no Manhattan, Kansas.
All right. Colin Klein obviously is a name that West Virginia fans have a lot of history with. He was the quarterback of a team that came in here and absolutely stomped a West Virginia team that, frankly, we thought under Geno Smith was going to be a Big 12 contender, and it just wasn't. So Colin Klein is in the West Virginia lore for coming to Morgantown and putting a whooping on the Mountaineers, and he did it. Storylines are obviously, we named them. I do think this is going to be a team that could contend just like anything else. I mean, it's year one, so maybe they're your way. I don't know. I can't imagine. Does Avery Johnson have another year? I guess, and he does. I don't know if that 5 for 5 must have impacted him. They're one of those teams. They're always in that 7 to 9 range, right? So you're not surprised if they're a contender by the end of the year. You're just not surprised. Yeah. So we'll continue to monitor the Kansas State Jayhawks, Kansas State Wildcats as we continue on down through this Big 12 list, because obviously that was a grave mistake I just made, almost calling them the Jayhawks. They want to talk about pissing some people off. I think I struggle with them because I saw Avery Johnson look so bad at times the last couple of years. He's also looked so great at times his freshman year, especially. We'll see what happens under Colin Klein. I could see him having a come to Jesus moment and just absolutely tearing the league up. So Oklahoma State, obviously I felt very lucky to cover them for about a month this year on Locked On Oklahoma State. What a horrible couple of years they're coming off of. They were 2-10 last year under Coach Mike Gundy. They've got 35 in, 60 out. And Drew Mestemaker leads the charge in a $7 million contract with obviously Caleb Hawkins, who was one of the leading rushers in all of college football last year, as well as Wyatt Young, one of the leading receivers in all of college football last year, and several other North Texas transfers, Quentin Hammonds, several offensive linemen they brought in. And they've got this kid out of Illinois that's just an absolute stud at wide receiver that is 6'5" or 6'6". I mean, they have had one hell of a portal offseason. And it seems like one of the new fads is like, let's go. It's been beat to death, but it's the number one example you can think of off the top of your head. Signetti goes from James Madison to Indiana. Indiana's good right away. Oklahoma State's trying to do that, but with North Texas. And they brought enough North Texas players over to jumpstart this program. There's no doubt about it. Now, can they win Big 12 games with everybody? We'll see. They bring in Jaleel Johnson, Ethan Wislowski, a kid that I was there whenever they brought him in, covering the team. Loved his game. One of the best players they brought in. Tight end Josh Ford's definitely going to be pretty good. Preston Wilson is going to be good. Dylan Smith is going to be good. And let me tell you, man, one of the players I think has the most upside in the Big 12, not just in the country, is Donovan Green. Listen, man, he was almost came to West Virginia 2 years ago, coming out of Texas A&M. Just go turn on Donovan Green highlights.
Whoa.
If you told me Donovan Green was the best tight end in the Big 12, I would not be shocked. Matter of fact, we can share the screen in here. Might as well.
Oh, yeah.
Get that out of there. So Donovan Green is a buddy of mine. He does shoes and different things. Yeah, here he is right here. But this is a dude, if you're going to talk about number one over tight end in the class of 2022 was Donovan Green from Dixon High School in Texas. And let me tell you, on tape, it looks like it.
Oh.
I thought he was going to transfer to West Virginia, man. It was so close to happening. It really was. It just didn't happen. Now he's where he is, and we'll see. At tight end, he's not your typical tight end. He's a receiver in some ways.
He's not somebody I want to be going up against because
he's 6'6", 6'7", and runs like a 6'6", 6'7", and runs like a deer. He really does. So, anyways, point made. This is a kid that you don't want to mess with, like you said, Jackson.
No.
Look at the height. Look at this. Look at the height, size, strength advantage this kid's got.
Oh,
and he can run too.
I bet number 24 felt that.
He's got a shoe business, right? That show one more here.
Boom.
He's got a shoe business where he takes and he draws on shoes or whatever. It's really interesting. He's good at it and can make all these different designs and just, I don't know, man. He's so talented with that. I'm wondering why his X account isn't coming up, but either way, another one of those guys, man, I'm excited to see what he does. But yeah, obviously Oklahoma State is lucky to have him. I think the storylines are this for them. It's a total reset after so long with the best coach in the Big 12 over the last 15 years, or one of the two or three best, I guess you could say, depending on who you ask. Total reset. Eric Morris brings his offense to here with Drew Mestamaker and a $7 million contract over 2 years. I think the biggest storyline here is the dramatic potential improvement that a lot of people see could happen in Stillwater, USA. And I think that this is a team that you look at on paper and say, on paper, all these North Texas players should work out or could work out. And in the place of just a new guy it sounds pretty good. Is this a team, Jackson, that could win eight or 9 games this year, or could they be a sneaky dark horse team in the league?
I think either one of those you can make a case as them being a sneaky dark horse team, or they could be that 8-win team that you see snaking up, or they'll get close to it, honestly, and the games will reflect it, honestly. We're not saying, I don't think either one of us are saying that they'll have a good time for a long time against Oregon. I mean, you might as well get the cigarette and the blindfold out for Oregon. So you might as well do that. But Big 12, wait for conference play starts against West Virginia. That's going to be a good one right there. And then you're going to see the rest of the conference schedule from October 10th to rivalry week, where it's Central Florida, Houston, Colorado, Iowa State, Kansas State, Texas Tech, Arizona State, and Kansas. We're going to see what this Oklahoma State team is made of for 2026. They could bring some magic for everyone.
Potential, definitely potential here. I definitely, Oklahoma State's one of those teams that obviously I felt lucky to cover when I got to cover them. And I struggle with them in some ways because I think they're going to be really good. I also think that they invested in one certain area on offense, and the rest is kind of like we hope they're good. Here's the cigarette and the blindfold thing Jackson's talking about from Looney Tunes. Remember that?
Yep.
Whenever you're done for, you had to put
Uh-huh.
the blindfold on, and they gave you that last cigarette.
Yep.
Just so people know what that reference is from you.
Yep.
Jackson never.
That's what I feel like Oklahoma State will deal with from Oregon. Sorry, Oklahoma State.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think many people disagree with that. I do think they can hang for a little while, and if they do, then if they hang with Oregon or even beat them, then you're talking about a whole expectation reset for Oklahoma State. But yeah, I mean, look, I'll make a prediction on Oklahoma State. I think they're going to be pretty good. I think that they are going to meet a lot of people's expectations, and I think they'll at least be bowl eligible. I think they're a team that can win between 7 and 9 teams. I don't know yet exactly what they're going to do. I'll wait till closer to the year, more information comes out. But as of right now, I'm in that 7 to 9 range for them. I still think that West Virginia is a tough out for them in Big 12 opener, just like vice versa. That's a tough out for both teams. But if you're going to get them, the Big 12 opener is the best time to get them. I think West Virginia has the best chance of a lot of teams to beat them this year because of that fact there. You know, what are your thoughts, Jackson, on that game there?
They were definitely going to wait and see. We're definitely going to be waiting and seeing right there.
Well, I mean, here's the thing that kicks in West Virginia's favor. It's at West Virginia, right? So to me, that's the reason I think West Virginia has the better chance to win that one. But it's definitely could be a coin flip. We'll see where both teams are come then. Okay. Moving it up to TCU here, another team that is in a weird spot under Sonny Dykes. He went 9-4 last year. I don't think anybody realizes that. And you look at the turnover, it's some of the lowest in the league, some of the lowest in the country. If I ask you to guess, you already know the answer to this, Jackson, but if I asked you to guess before tonight how many portal in and out they had, what would you have said?
Oh, I mean, like you would have thought they lost only 20 guys with the way people were acting about TCU, right?
They've only brought 12 in and they've only lost 13 guys.
Not very much.
That's an insane number. Yeah. And that tells you a lot about a team. They lost the quarterback. And I think that a lot of people were saying, yeah, we did lose the quarterback.
It did suck to lose Josh Hoover. I'm not
sure it sucks, but I mean, Jackson, sometimes when you're down, there's only one way to go.
That's up. I mean, everybody was acting like they lost the offensive line, the defensive line, and the water boy. That's how people were acting.
Jayden Craig comes in at quarterback. Noah McKinney, Chetta Ofili, Teron Howard, Vernon Glover, and others. Top returners, Jeremy Payne's back at running back again. Good Lord. Marquise Deal, another one, and along with what's that big other business Zackle Dinmaba, however you say his name. Iwale is back at defensive end, and Jamel Johnson, and they're going to be really good on defense. They replaced Josh Hoover. That's the number one storyline in the TCU, Fort Worth area, Dallas-Fort Worth area. They got a strong defensive line. That's well known around the conference. Like they might have the best defensive line in the conference with them in Texas Tech. In Texas, in the state of Texas, it's a ridiculous defensive line this year. If you add them all up, all the teams, you could have the best defensive line in the country. If you just put TCU and Texas Tech together, it'd be ridiculous. But another quiet contender. You're already looking at potentially somebody's got to lose, right? It's like, okay, I could potentially see TCU being that. I could potentially see Oklahoma State being that. I could potentially see, Houston being that. I could potentially see Kansas being that. Somebody's got to lose. Yeah. Not everybody can be in that 7 to 9 win range.
Nope.
So some guys are going to win 6. Some guys are going to win 5. Who's going to win the close games? That's what the Big 12 is all about. And West Virginia is no different. No different.
Well, and honestly, I do think, unfortunately for Sonny Dites, the magic they made in that his teams made the first year, no one's really talking about it anymore because it's basically put up or shut time. If you see TCU getting a 10 win season, I think TCU's getting tired of 9-4. They're getting pretty tired of it. If
Are
they go,
they? How mad are they
they're
over
mad as
that?
a cottonmouth about it, good buddy. They're mad as a cottonmouth.
Good timing for that.
There you
By the
go. But
way,
yeah,
over under on TCU is 6.5
it's
for wins.
a little low. It's a little low. I mean, it's like,
Well, would you rather? I mean, would you put them with Arizona and Houston, 7.5?
I don't know.
Would you put them with Kansas State and BYU, 8.5? Utah, 8.5?
Six
So
and a
they've
half.
got to be somewhere, right? Like at some point, you got to make the distinction. That's the thing about this league. Think about this. The worst team in this league is a 5-win team, according to FanDuel, potentially. 4.5 wins in Colorado. Cincinnati, 5.5 is their over under.
Yeah.
Iowa State, 5.5. Kansas, 5.5. UCF, 5.5. Oklahoma State, 5.5. West Virginia, 5.5.
Yeah.
Baylor is 6.5, which is mind-boggling to me. How Baylor is 6.5 over West Virginia, but whatever. Arizona State 6.5. TCU 6.5. Arizona 7.5. Houston 7.5. Kansas State 8.5. BYU 8.5. Utah 8.5. Texas Tech 11.5. There's a lot going on there, man.
I would put the under on 11.5 for Texas Tech.
Right. So, okay. Last thoughts on TC really quick. I mean, I think that they're absolutely could be a 9-win team again this year. But I'm going to I think they take a step back to 8. I think that's where they finish. It's not terrible. But I don't think they're good without – you can't tell me they're better without Hoover. I guess that's what I'm trying to say here.
True.
Texas Tech, the story of the league this year.
The elephant in the room.
Yep, Joey McGuire and company. I mean, what a couple of years he's had at Texas Tech, and what a job he's done at Texas Tech. I mean, he doesn't get enough credit, right? Jackson?
Yeah, I mean, no doubt. I mean, he really doesn't.
So think about this. Where was Texas Tech at in 2021 when he got hired? Because he got hired the year after COVID, I remember. Yeah. So where were they at then as a football program?
They were down. They were a mess.
But there was only one way to go for them.
And that was up. They were a mediocre mess until Joey McGuire showed.
So last year they're 12-2. They bring in 24, 26 go. Not terrible. By today's standards, definitely not terrible. You bring in Trey White, you bring in Monroe Freeling, you bring Jair Hill, you bring Scalley Gill-Howard, the wide receiver, the elite wide receiver, Eric McAllister, and more. I mean, we can talk about the other wide receiver that everybody mentions. Your top returners are Will Hammond. Good Lord. Coy Aiken comes back at receiver.
Terrence Carter Jr.
Carter Jr., the big tight end. Bryce Pollock, Ben Roberts. This is a team that, they're the defending champions of the Big 12. Will Hammond is going to have to come in and keep Tech on top. But the big thing here, Jackson, is the Sorsby questions, they're not going anywhere.
No. And that's the thing, though, is one player is not the be-all, end-all. And anybody freaking out over Texas Tech quarterback situation, how it's going to affect the rest of them, you got to keep in mind, too, they've got a lot of weapons on offense. So whoever's going to be stepping up at QB, it's going to be fine. It's going to be just fine in Lubbock, in my honest opinion. It feels exactly like BYU last year, where everybody was freaking out about Jake Retzlaff. And guess what happened? Bear Botmeyer stepped up to the plate in Provo, Utah. I mean, when you got Terrence Carter Jr., he's going to be like stepping up for you right there.
There's no doubt, man. You look at what he did last year. It was he's maybe the best tight end in the country. 55 catches, almost 700 yards and 5 touchdowns. He's an absolute stud. There's no doubt about it, Jackson. You mentioned Terrence Carter, just thinking about his game.
I
It's
mean, like,
NFL. I mean, he
highest
could have went to the
grade-
league this year, probably.
yeah, I mean, I was looking at PFF College, and he's the highest graded returning tight
Yeah.
end.
Yeah, he's probably a 90 on the game. I don't know. I haven't looked. But they're their storylines are they're the defending champions. Sorsby questions aren't going to go anywhere, and Hammond's got to step up. Do you trust Will Hammond to step up and guide this team to a Big 12 title in the playoff? Certainly. I think they've got all the pieces needed to do that, even without, Sorsby. I still think they win 11 games. I mean, I think they do. It's hard for me to pick against it with as much talent as they have. I don't want to admit that, but it's like I'm not going to let any kind of I mean, there's really no bias against them at all. But the fact that there's so many of them went out of the conference makes me mad. But yeah, I can see them as a legit. I don't know if they're a national title contender or not. I don't know. Until a Big 12 team actually does it, we're going to feel that way. But if there's a team that's brought in enough talent to do that and who has enough money to do it, it's Texas Tech, Jackson.
Yeah. I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, as long as you got Cody Campbell pouring money into that university, they're always going to have a say-so in the Big 12.
UCF, moving on to the last two here. Scott Frost in year 2. They went 5-7 in year 1. Beat West Virginia bad up and down there in Orlando, by the way. They bring in 63, 64 go out. Well, keep in mind, West Virginia lost their first, second, third, fourth, and fifth string running back. They lost their first, second, third, and fourth string quarterback. So playing UCF wasn't exactly ideal at that point in time. So it's like, yeah, they beat us, but like, what were we? We were nothing. Alonzo Barnett, one of my favorite players in the portal. I wanted West Virginia to get this kid. Alonzo Barnett's going to be really good. Tough to stop. I mean, I don't want to say too much, but like, I think Alonzo Barnett could be one of the best quarterbacks in the country next year if they have enough around him. I don't know that I have no clue about. I have no clue about that. Keontae Jenkins comes back as well. He doesn't come back. He's coming in. Artavius Jones, TJ Brants, and Brad Gurley at defensive line.
Brad
Top
Gurley,
returners.
Gurley girl.
They've got Lewis Carter coming in, Jaden Bellamy, Preston Cushman, Xavier Townsend, and Randy Pittman Jr. Know those last couple of names pretty well. The storylines here are, just like with Rich Rod and company, year 2. Can you make the year 1 to year 2 jump? People are going to want to see progress in year 2 at UCF. Can you do it? Because you've had a big roster overhaul, right? Not as big as last year's. You've trimmed it down some, but it's still big. And you're going to need an elite quarterback to step up. And I think you've got one in Alonzo Barnett. I think he's going to got potential to be an elite player. I think he was massively overlooked in the portal. And I think people will absolutely, mark my words, regret not taking him. I wanted West Virginia to pick Barnett so bad I couldn't see straight. I really couldn't.
There we go. He's gonna make some magic for the Central Florida Knights.
You look at what he did last year. I mean, 2,800 yards in the air, 23 touchdowns, only 8 interceptions, a 61.6 QBR. Just a great year for him. And that's coming off of another season where he did similar thing, 26 touchdowns the year before that. And then on the ground, it's just as impressive. He had 589 yards rushing last year and 15 touchdowns on the ground. 15 rushing touchdowns as a quarterback on 127 carries. So that means he had a total of almost 40 touchdowns last year. That's enormous numbers. And this system that they run down there is perfect for what he does. I think he's going to be massively productive. I think he's going to be massively, what's the word I want to say? I guess successful, I guess would be the better way to put it. I don't know if they're going to win a lot of games or not. I don't know enough about them. I really don't. I mean, we've seen the names on the screen here. I can't pretend to know everything about every team. I just haven't watched or followed their offseason as heavily as others.
Well,
So
they've not had a lot of people talking about them. So in their
right.
case, no news is good news.
Like they're the quietest team in the league in the offseason. Nobody, either way. Like I've heard a lot on West Virginia. And that's like when I'm not looking for it, other teams bringing it up. West Virginia's got a huge brand compared to UCF as well, though. Let's keep that in mind. Like UCF's brand hasn't caught up to a lot of the rest of the Big 12. They've only been Power 4 for how long now?
They've been there since 2023. So this year will be their 4th season.
Right. So while they have a huge following in Florida and a huge, school and all that nationally, they're just, they're not on the tip of everybody's tongues, really. And that'll change if they continue to win, obviously. But certainly a team that you look at and say, yeah, I could see that maybe they're a little slept on. But until they prove it, like Rich Rod, the situation we're in, people are going to doubt. I think they're at 5.5 wins. I think that's fair. Last but not least, we're talking about Utah and the Utes. Morgan Scalley replaces one of the greatest coaches in the history of the sport. I don't know how you fill them shoes, buddy. You've been trained to do it. You've been put in waiting. The whole thing. The way they pushed him out was wild. We'll get there in a second, Jackson. I know you want to talk about it. Hold on. 10-3 last year. Great year for them. Only 16 players coming in. 38 go out, though, which is not a surprise. That's their coaching change. Brandon Pagan comes in. Ricky Johnson comes in. Cedric Jefferson, Will Money, which is a great name for a tight end, and Noah Benny comes in. I'm assuming that's Jackson Benny's relation. Top returners, quarterback Devin Dampier, Wayshawn Parker, Lance Holtzclaw, Jonathan Hall, and Smith Snowden, one of the best corners in the country. I mean, look, man, once again, this is a team that is going to make noise. There's no doubt about it. And
all the noise.
And that's not even considering that Jackson Benny's going to be back again for another year. Oh. So, like, they've got both Bennies. And the storylines are Morgan Scalley's taken over for one of the great coaches ever, Jackson, that's been pushed out of there. Devin Dampier returns again after the great year he had last year. I mean, just an incredibly productive year. He's got a chance to have a sneaky season. And what about Utah, man? They still expect to compete for the Big 12. That's the standard here, whether it's Scalley, where it's Whittingham or not. But I know you had some choice words for how they were pushed out of the conference.
Yeah, I'm just
or not out of the conference, but how he was pushed out.
By how Kyle Whittingham was pushed out. He was like, which Utah kind of had it planned that he was going to be gone after 2025. I figured Whittingham would be gone after 2025. I thought it would be like him retiring. I just didn't think it'd be this.
A lot of us did.
You don't push out a guy who led your team to a victory over Alabama, got you unbeaten in 2008. You don't push out a guy who had you winning in the Pac-12. You don't push out a guy who was getting you winning in the Big 12. I feel like there's going to be a third story arc right there. What's up, Steve? Good to see you, man.
I mean, Steve, like, I don't know how you can say that. I mean, if you're coping, man, like, no offense, you went 10-3. What do you mean past his prime?
Don't get
it. You're going to have to elaborate if you're going to make me believe he was past his prime. And I hold my right to reserve judgment on him until I see what Michigan does this year.
I think honestly, Michigan will have a pretty good few years with Whittingham, and then he's just going to retire.
Right.
It honestly feels like a real life version of Any Given Sunday, where Al Pacino's character, was basically pushed out by the new ownership. It was and it looked like he was going to have his little retirement press conference, but then he's like, Nope, I'm going to this expansion team in New Mexico, and I'm taking my star quarterback with me.
Right.
So that was funny though. Like I do want to see what Kyle Whittingham's going to do in Michigan, and I want to see what Scalley's going to bring. And I mean, like honestly, we knew like Scalley was going to be the next head coach of Utah. It was not really a matter of if, but when. I don't think any of us figured that it was going to be like this. But all that aside, a new era is in Salt Lake City. Scalley's got some big shoes to fill. Can he maintain the standard that Utah has brought? That's got to be a question. That size says it all. That's it. That side means we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, you look at like what they lost after he left, right?
Mhm.
I mean, they lost so much. They lost Jason Beck, one of the better offensive coordinators around, especially for what they do. They lost Micah Simon. They lost Freddie Whittingham. He went to BYU, got Jay Hill from defensive coordinator. It was a mass exodus from Utah and in the state of Utah, if you count BYU, because they went out and got people off their both rosters. And, you know, obviously the athletic department was tickled pink to hire Morgan Scalley, who was one of the best defensive coordinators in the country. Yeah. Nobody doubts that. He takes over as the new head coach, hoping to stabilize. But good Lord, you know, the guys that Witt took him with him to Michigan is a long list of guys. John Henry Daly, definitely the headliner among them. 11.5 sacks, 17.5 tackles for loss, going to be hard to replace. J.J. Buchanan, and a standout true freshman from last year, that he's gone. Smith Snowden, obviously, you're lucky to get back, and others. But, you know, I think is Moa back? I don't know. Salisi Moa, I don't know. But either way, this is a Utah squad that you look at and say, once again, they're going to be in that 7 to 10 range, you know, maybe even a tick more if they upset some people, or like Texas Tech, or I don't even know if they play them this year or not. But this team is everything from 7 or 8 wins to 10 or 11. They could be either or, and I wouldn't be shocked. And it's going to work itself out. My gut tells me that they're going to take a small step back and be more along a 7 or 8 win team.
Oh, yeah.
But I wouldn't be surprised to see them up there. I have a lot of respect for the Utes and how they smashed us when they came to Morgantown. They demoralized us. As a matter of fact, I know they were the impetus behind the radical change in West Virginia in both fronts. Like I'm told this is a big game for them. They look at to say, oh my God, how bad were we on both sides of line of scrimmage? And they went out and fixed a lot with like West Virginia dropped a lot of money, probably as much or more than anybody in the league into the offensive line, for what I'm told. So, you know, West Virginia really wanted to rebound back from the way they felt against Utah. So, you know, I'm interesting from all these angles. The Big 12 is going to be interesting. I don't know if we can stay together or not, but I do know that this is going to be a great season. A lot of memorable moments are going to come out of the Big 12 season, Jackson. I'll be watching with bated breath on seeing how Brett Yormark responds to a lot of these questions. Wish I was down there in Frisco. I wanted to go. Unfortunately, I just couldn't make it work. But maybe another time. You know, we'll see. But I'm really excited to see what this season holds. Jackson, what say you?
I'm excited about week 0 coming up. It is just getting closer and closer and closer. You know, just like looking at the calendar as of right now. So right now we're 61 days away till week 1, but it's 54 days until week 0. 59 days till Colorado, Georgia Tech. 60 days until Miami, Stanford. 62 days until the Sunday games for week 1. And 63 days until Florida State, SMU.
Agreed. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and bounce. We've been on here for a long time. I wanted to get this preview out of the way, though. Not all episodes are going to be this long. It's not advantageous to do them this long, but we're long-winded around here. Like, subscribe, share the whole thing. If you're new around here, There's 300 of you guys watching. I'll tell you what I'll do. This is an honest to God thing. I'll keep track of every name. $100 winner. If you guys come to College Sports Insiders, it's in the chat. It's on X. If you come to College Sports Insiders, if you're not already subscribed, we're a couple hundred people away from 500. So if the majority of you guys come over and subscribe, we'll get there. And we'll do a drawing out of those, the first 500 subscribers and give $100 away. If you do that, we'll show proof, we'll post it, whole thing. So yeah, come check us out over at College Sports Insiders, and we would love to see you over there, obviously. Until then, appreciate y'all for being here. I am probably going to go to bed, Jackson. What about you, buddy? You ready to roll?
Probably do some typing before I go to bed.
All right. Well, good night, guys. We'll see you on the next one. Have a great night. God bless.